um, potential settlements that would allow the executive committee, which is Mr. Pless and myself, to move forward with those settlements as they come about. Because Jewel is just one of the manufacturers that are involved in this litigation, and there are others as well. And as you remember, this just gives us an opportunity to recoup some of the funding that we've spent on vape detectors, as well as man hours that the high school and junior high have spent on tracking down potential violations of vaping in schools. So we appreciate your consideration to allow us to do this. It'll just help streamline that process, because there are times that these are time sensitive that we'll need to move fairly quickly with a decision. So.
Okay. Questions, comments from anyone? I'm glad we decided to follow through with that. I think that's a good thing. So the item is to approve the acceptance of the offer made by Jewel Labs Incorporated to settle the litigation filed against the company, to authorize the executive committee to execute the release of claims against Jewel, and further to execute the release of claims against other defendants if such settlements are recommended by the council. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? And there are none. Next item, approve agreement between Elizabethton City Schools and Sturdy Steel to complete construction of an aluminum bleacher section at Citizens Bank Stadium at a cost of $74,950, utilizing TIPS cooperative purchasing pricing. Can I get a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
A motion and a second?
Second.
And a second. You will explain.
Okay, so each of you should have a drawing at your area there of the bleacher section that we're proposing to install. It would be adjacent to the current bandstand. There would be a separation between those two sections. It requires us to move the current handicapped ramp to the bandstand. We would move that to the other side of the bandstand. There would be a stair section in between the two sections, and then another stair section closer to the home side restroom building. So the handicapped accessible ramp would service both of those sections. We think that that will provide an opportunity to enhance student participation in the games. I know that, I don't know if Dr. Minton wants to share any of this or not, but when we started looking at this, one of the first things we did was talk with the Clone Club, the PEP club there at the high school, to get some feedback from students about their thoughts around this, and received positive feedback from the Clone Club on that, about having their own designated space. I think typically when you go to ball games, you'll see student sections, that gives them the opportunity to maybe name the section. And the problem with the location where they currently are is it's right adjacent to the handicapped accessible ramp to the entire home bleacher section. And so naturally they're into the game, which is exactly what we want them to be, but oftentimes they crowd the aisleway, and it makes it very difficult for people to move in and out of those bleacher sections. So this will give them their own space, free up some space, again, to help with egress, as well as the opportunity for some additional season tickets for parents and family members. So the intent would be that we think we can sell somewhere around another 200, 250 seats as season tickets. And what we will do in agreement with the athletic department is we'll set the proceeds aside for those additional seats, and they'll essentially pay the system back over a 6-year period to cover the cost. And again, as mentioned in there, we're using TIPS pricing, so that means, again, just to refresh your memory on cooperative purchasing, that means it's already gone through the bid process, so we've met the bid spec. And the good part about this is the same company that installed all the bleachers in the stadium originally, so they're familiar. It would be a similar system as to what the bleachers that are already there. So,
How many seats will it provide?
around 200.
Okay. Wow.
Somewhere around in there.
That's awesome.
So.
Any other questions?
I have one. I mean, the cost in athletics grows each year. I mean, it's just more and more. And is it realistic? Is the athletic department going to be able to pay for this? And
So when we started talking about this several months ago, myself, Dr. Minton, and Mr. Holt, Coach Holt there at the high school, and we had all these conversations, and on multiple occasions, Coach Holt said, we can absolutely do that. Just the opportunity to have their own section, have some additional seating, and plus free up that egress. And it's really a safety issue as well that's going to be addressed. So yes, he feels very comfortable with that.
Well, he should know. I mean, he's
Yeah.
the numbers.
Yeah. So really, when you think about it, it's kind of like when you're in a situation where you get a raise, these additional seats are going to generate some additional funding. So essentially, we're pulling that out before they even realize that they have more money. So we'll use that additional funding to help pay for this. And then once it's done, then they'll realize those additional seating for just just general athletic fund. So.
Will it be completed before the season starts?
Yes, that's the great part. They've guaranteed that it'll be finished by, let me see, I think there's a date here. I want to say it was August 1st, but it may be August 31st.
In our schedule, we don't have a home for a while.
Yeah, but it would definitely be completed way before we had a home game. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? Okay, the item is to approve agreement between Elizabethton City Schools and Sturdy Steel to complete construction of an aluminum bleachers section in Citizens Bank Stadium at a cost of $74,950 utilizing TIPS cooperative purchasing pricing. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. And any opposed? And there are none. Next item, approve the award of bid number ECSS 2022-2023-03 for the replacement of elevator controls at T.A. Duggar Junior High School to United Elevator Services in the amount of $82,000. Can I get a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
A motion and a second.
Second.
Okay.
This particular item is to, as you see there, replacement of the elevator controls for the elevator there at T.A. Duggar. The unit itself is now basically obsolete. We can no longer get parts. They're no longer manufacturing parts replacements. So the fear is that if we don't address this now and get this upgraded, that if it goes down, who knows how long it would be before we get it back up and running, which could really create an issue there with students and potentially staff that may be in a situation where they've had an accident, they're either in a wheelchair or on crutches, and now we're trying to figure out how to maneuver them up to the second floor. It may even require an entire classroom to move if we're not able to do this. So felt like now was the time to go ahead and do that and move forward with that. United Elevator Services, that is the company that we currently have our service agreement with, so they're very familiar with the unit there. So it won't be a complete replacement. Again, it's just for the controls, so it'll upgrade that, and essentially it'll be a new elevator. So.
That was a great addition years ago. So, any other questions? All right. The item is to approve the award of bid number ECSS 2022-2023-3 for the replacement of elevator controls at T.A. Duggar Junior High School to United Elevator Services in the amount of $82,000. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. And any opposed? There are none. Next item. Approve the ESSER 3.0 public plan for remaining funds and safe return to in-person instruction and continuity of services plan addendum. Can I get a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Okay, and a second.
Second.
Got a couple of seconds. Thank you. Okay.
Okay, so part of the reporting requirement for these ESSER funds is that every 6 months we have to update these two particular plans that you see before you. Again, one is the public plan for remaining funds, and that shows there, if you look at the chart on page 2, it shows you the ESSER 2.0 funds remaining, as well as the 3.0 funds that are remaining. And so that's just something that we're required to do. The biggest bulk, again, of the ESSER $3 still out there will go toward the renovation at Harold McCormick. There's also some ESSER 2.0 dollars that are in there as well. And again, we have several different positions that are currently funded out of 2.0 and 3.0. And the good news is that the funding that we have in 3.0 will allow us to keep the positions that we've had the last couple of years through the 23-24 season, school year. And then at that point in time, we'll be looking at our new TISA funding and the additional funding that hopefully it generates to be able to pull as much of those positions into that budget. We're currently working with administrators and school staff to identify those positions that are of most need and of most value to make sure that we're able to roll those in. The Safe Return to In-Person Instruction Plan, again, is just talking about different safety features and health and safety features that we continue to put in place. Obviously, some of those things, we've gone quote unquote back to normal use, but again, we're still mindful of those opportunities that we have, whether it be cleaning facilities, things like that. Not so much social distancing like we did a couple of years ago, but again, just continue to work with the Carter County Health Department and the Regional Health Department as there are events that occur that we need to communicate with them and make sure we have a plan in place to address any issues. So, any questions on either of those two plans?
Okay, the item is to approve the ESSER 3.0 Public Plan for Remaining Funds and Safe Return to In-Person Instruction and Continuity of Service Plan Addendum. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. And any opposed? And there are none. Next item, approve the award of bid number ECSS 2022-2023-02 for the purchase of one 42-passenger school bus to Mid-South Bus Center in the amount of $129,653. Can I get a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
And a second.
Second.
Second. And I know,
Well,
I
we
mean,
need to get in the bus manufacturing business
Yeah.
because these.
no, not cheap.
No, it's not cheap. And ironically, I was talking to Mr. Isaacs before the meeting here. As you see that $129,000, we could purchase a 66-passenger bus at a lower cost than this. But there are a couple of features that this one has. Number one, we need a smaller bus. This will serve special education students, and there are some areas in Elizabethton that require a smaller vehicle to be able to maneuver those roads because, again, we, provide door-to-door service for those students. So that's the reason that we need the smaller bus. It also has two heating and air units on it, air conditioning units, as well as the camera systems that we have on all our other buses. This is a Thomas bus, and we're streamlining the fleet. We have several of these Thomas buses, so again, that helps us when you talk about replacement parts and things like that, having uniform. We have two bus manufacturers in our fleet right now, Thomas and Bluebird, but again, the majority are Thomas, which again is what this Mid-South bus is. So. Questions, comments on
It's a never ending. I mean, there's always
Yeah.
going to be
Yeah. This is replacing
something
Yeah.
like this at least every other year, I would think. I mean, when's the next one coming up? You know?
We purchased 3 in 1 year.
Mhm.
This is going to replace one of those 3.
Okay.
So we probably will have one next year,
Mhm.
66
Yeah.
passengers. And maybe able to skip a year
Mhm.
after that to get the third.
Our buses are in really good shape. I know Lindbergh and others, they take really good care of our buses, so we get every penny out of them we can.
About 18 years.
Okay.
Service. The bus that this one will replace, our special ed buses, they're everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, our bus routes are relatively short, but with respect to special ed routes,
Mm-hmm.
they zigzag across. I mean, it's amazing that they do what they do,
Mhm.
the time frame that they do it, to get these kids to
Mhm.
and from school. So, bus 28 is ready to.
Go out to pasture, okay. I understand.
It's been really
yeah.
hard.
So, but they usually make really good vehicles for people who don't have the restrictions that public school have. They do usually have life left in them for other people, so that's good. Any comments or
Well,
questions?
in reference to what Richard said about the roads, when I had to ride the bus as an assistant, Sometimes I thought we were gonna roll over.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Is this in
So,
the city?
I approve this
Are we in the city? Yes, we
Yeah.
are.
All right, the item is to approve the award of bid number E ECSS 2022-2023-02 for the purchase of one 42-passenger school bus to Mid-South Bus Center in the amount of $129,653. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. And any opposed? And there are none. Next item, ratify the creation of a full-time special education teacher assistant at Harold McCormick Elementary School to meet student needs. Can I get a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
And a second.
Second.
Got a couple of those.
Yeah, so again, just as it reads there, we, due to an IEP team decision, felt the need for an assistant to be added to meet the needs of a particular student.
Okay. All right. Items to ratify the creation of a full-time special ed teacher assistant at Harold McCormick Elementary School to meet student needs. All those in favor say aye. Aye. And any opposed? And there are none. Next item, approve modification to the ECS 2022-2023 school calendar pending State Department approval. Can I get a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
And a second.
Second.
Okay.
Okay, so this is kind of ironic that we're talking about this right now. So, as you know, we were out of school today for inclement weather, and yes, I'm to blame for that decision. Now, there are a lot of staff members that are very excited about the
Yeah.
decision that I made. Probably some other people that are not so much. I'll tell you that it's not an easy job to determine that. I spent a lot of time this weekend looking at umpteen different forecast models, and it certainly ranged all over the place. So I knew we had days, so I erred on the side of caution. I think there were some slick spots out this morning. We had some freezing fog and some things like that. So I don't know if it was the right call or not, but it's the
Good
one that I
call.
made. So I'll live with it. But along those lines, as you know, we have 30 additional minutes on the instructional day. That's not additional time that teachers work. Teachers work a 7.5-hour day regardless. But there are 30 additional minutes within that 7.5-hour teacher day that the system made the decision probably 15 years ago to go that route. And at that time, we started adding professional development days. So when you go the 30 extra minutes, it builds 13 additional instructional days. And the system historically has taken 7 of those days as professional development days, which leaves 6 of those for inclement weather. And the benefit to that is that if we have a day like today that we miss due to inclement weather, we use one of those bank days and the state does not require us to make up that day. If we didn't have those 30 extra minutes in, any day that we would miss for inclement weather, we would be required to add that day on somewhere in the calendar. So that's the benefit to us, especially when we live in an area where, some years we use all of them, some years we don't. As you know, it's been a very mild winter thus far. And so one option that we have, there is a mechanism in place that we can apply to the state to convert any of our unused snow days, up to 2 of those, to professional development days. So we as a staff talked about that and felt like that was the prudent thing to do. And so if you look at the calendar there, what it would do is it would put an additional professional development day. So the student instructional day scheduled for March 23rd would become a professional development day. And also in your packet, you'll notice part of that approval process, we have to submit to the state what we're going to do as far as professional development on those days. And so Dr. Newman has helped put that together, and we've actually submitted that to the state on Friday. So again, this item for you is to approve that pending both groups' approval, but we wanted to try to get the wheels in motion so that if it is a possibility, we'll be able to get the word out to our students and staff well in advance so parents can make plans for those. The other day would be on Friday, May the 19th, would turn into Professional Development Day. This is the day before graduation, so that will also provide the staff at the high school, custodial staff and others, an opportunity to really plan that out and be able to get things ready to go there, even more so, because typically they're doing that in the midst of an instructional day. So, so again, these wouldn't cost us anything, so that would take the 6 snow days that we have. We used one today. These would be 2 of them, so that would leave us 3 additional snow days. So, you know, sometimes we've had some of our biggest
Yeah.
snow events in late February and even into March. And I think even one time we had a big one in April. So that still leaves us the opportunity to have days built in that would not require us to make up. And if for some reason we did that, we needed some additional days, we could go back and convert any of these professional development days back to instructional days if for some reason we were out for a week or something like that. So we felt like this was a way to address some additional professional development needs that we had, and also build in that opportunity for, to use those days that we've stockpiled. So, I'm sorry, that was a lot of explanation there, but thought it was important for you to kind of know while we were asking you to consider this.
Gracie, you okay missing the 19th? I knew you would be there.
Perfectly fine with
Yeah,
that.
okay, just making sure. All right. Item is to approve modification of the Elizabethton City Schools 2022-2023 school calendar pending State Department approval. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. And any opposed? And there are none. Last thing, we will combine H through K, and that is to approve revised Board Policy 4.700, testing programs, Board Policy 6.200, attendance, 6.300, code of conduct, and 6.309, zero tolerance offenses. Can I get a motion to approve each of those?
Motion to approve.
Okay, and a second.
Second.
Second, okay. We've looked at them once, I know, so
Yeah.
we're,
Yeah, so the testing program, 4.700, is basically a change. TSBA is recommended based on some changes to state law, and basically it says that we must provide a written exam for credit to students that transfer to Elizabethton City Schools from a home school or a Category 4 church-related school. And basically, that's just a written exam that we would develop, that we would give to those students to determine if they've earned those specific credits or not. So that's essentially the language here, is just sets up that process and what that will look like moving forward. Any questions on that one?
Is that,
I didn't think that was new, but maybe,
I think the way that let me just read this wording right here. So it says, students transferring from a Category 4 church-related school or private school or homeschool shall be awarded credit upon completion of a written exam. These exams shall be approved, administered, and graded by the school's principal or designee. Upon request from a parent or guardian, student scores from a nationally standardized achievement test in the relevant subject shall be accepted as a substitute for these exams. So it may be that portion.
may have just been independent homeschool.
Yeah.
The rules.
And now it's
so-
lumping all of
Okay.
those groups in
Gotcha.
together.
Okay.
And then there's some additional language we have down there talking about grades 1 through 8 would be the last grade completed, and then 9 through 12 would be
So
the
by
last
subject.
specific course.
Okay.
Yes. So they wouldn't have to come in and say, if they're a junior, they wouldn't have to come in and pass a test for Algebra 2, or excuse me, English 2 and English 1, for instance.
Okay.
It would just be the last one. Okay, so on attendance, this one allows for makeups for EOC exams without a doctor's note. That was the old language that we had. And quite frankly, that's not to our system's benefit if we require that, because so much of our accountability system depends on participation rate. So it's to our advantage to have every single student we can make sure that they have the opportunity to take that test. So if they're out a day, we're going to make every effort that we can to make sure that they have an opportunity to take that test within the testing window. So, question on that one? The last two deal with THC and exactly how our policy addresses if we have situations where students use those. As you know, there's so much confusion right now around THC, and you hear a lot about the content and how much is in there. We felt like it was really important from a system standpoint to support our administrators that we get them out of situations where they're trying to determine how much of content potentially, like say a vape. Someone could bring a vape that has THC in it. Well, our stance is that if a student brings one of those devices or brings that substance on campus, we want to be able to just have that in policy that that is a violation, and here's how we will move forward with punitive discipline for those type infractions. So if you'll notice there, the first one is again in the Code of Behavior and Discipline. Again, it just lists specifically alcohol, tobacco products, smoking hemp, vapor products, smokeless nicotine products, or any legally purchased cannabinoid, CBD in other words, and not containing THC. So it's going to include all those things. And then a partner with that is the zero tolerance policy, which specifically lists THC. So in the level 3 misbehavior back in the Code of Conduct, it talks about cannabis and CBD, and specifically in zero tolerance, it talks about THC. So it says specifically including THC at any level of concentration would be subject to zero tolerance offense in the schools. So again, we're not equipped to be determining and wrestling with how much it is. The bottom line is, and I have tons of research that I can share with you about the dangers that THC presents to students, both academically, socially, and all those things, long-term effects. So we just feel it's important that we make a stance as a school system that we're not going to tolerate that, and if a student chooses to do that, then here will be the consequences for that. Any questions on that one? We also cleaned up a little bit of language in the Code of Behavior and Discipline there as well. You'll notice there on the last few pages. Taking some things out, and we worked very closely with Ms. Owen to help us streamline this language to make sure that it met state statute as well. And we also sent all 4 of these policies to TSBA and had their staff look at those as well. So.
What did you hear back from them?
They were positive, said they didn't see any issues with any of the language that we proposed. So,
They're a great resource.
Yes, they
are. Okay. The item is to approve revised board policies 4.700 testing program, 6.200 attendance, 6.300 code of conduct, and 6.309 zero tolerance offenses. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And any opposed? And there are none. The next regularly scheduled board meetings will be Thursday, the 16th day of March, here at 5:30, and it will immediately, 5 minutes following, we will have a budget workshop. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Thank you all. Thank you, administrators, staff, city council, public. So for being here on a day off, thank you all. Appreciate it.
Good luck with